What's up, you guys? We're back with another NFL video. This is Beat the Odds NFL edition on Odds Checker. We got some good games coming up this week and ready to get started. Guys, how did we do last week?
I went 2-1 so far. My game that I had earlier has been kicked to tonight, which is Tuesday. So I'm still waiting on that Washington result. I don't like the odds that I got it at last week because some things have changed, but did okay. Other than my pick of the week was the Packers, and they decided to let a backdoor cover happen and almost actually straight up lose the game. So that was very enthralling for me as a bettor.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you. 2-1. I have the Eagles. I had them at -4. I got them both at good numbers. The two games that we picked that we jinxed them and we had to get them moved. I got the Raiders at like +6. They ended up covering. All we got to do is be on the same side of a game, and we can get it moved. Take out two quarterbacks. I mean, we're doing that's chaos. At least I got the pick of the week. Hopefully,
that's what happens when we combine our powers. It's just that the games get moved, quarterbacks get knocked out. That's just the universe just exploding every time we do it.
All right. Well, what do you guys have for us this week?
So far, okay. There's gonna be a little bit of a theme here because I have liked this in the last month as teams have kind of started shifting directions and like kind of some teams are just giving up. It's a long season, and some are like making a playoff push. I'm starting with the Saints -3 hosting the Dolphins. The Saints offense is kind of a whatever at this point. They have to get healthier on the offensive line. And you're holding on your hat with Taysom Hill and those receivers. Having Kamara back does help a little bit. But really, I'm betting on the Saints defense, just kind of what we saw from not just from the Bucs on Sunday, but this entire season. They're just a whole bunch of, ass kickers. And I think that Dolphins team that really has one of the worst offensive lines in the league and heavily operate with RPOs. And I think that the Saints defense really can match it. So I think it's going to be an ugly one, but I think it's one of those that the Saints controls the whole game. And so Saints -3.
I'm right there with you. That was one of the ones that I took. I'm going to take a bunch of like short favorites basically this week. Just teams that I'm confident in. They put Tom Brady in a blender. They've put Aaron Rodgers in a blender earlier in the season. There's not many teams that can say that they've done both of those in the same year. Tua doesn't stand a chance. I don't think Tua stands a chance. Tua, it's time to come home. The Tua-non stuff, it was fun. You're going to have to make some big boy throws in this game. I don't think that you're capable of it right now. I mean, still even like there's no quarterback that you're more worried about throwing just like a perfectly placed slant route and can't really do much else in the league. Even when he's throwing out routes, it's like that thing is sailing. He can't throw.
That pick six he threw, that thing took like 4 seconds to get there.
I thought he was going to fair catch it before he took it home. Yeah, I mean, I think Miami is a good story. I mean, the fact that they came back from like 2-6 or whatever and are now rallying into the playoff picture, that shouldn't go overlooked, and their team construction, shouldn't go overlooked. But I just don't think they have the horses for this. And this is now a highly motivated Saints team. I mean, the fact that they got that upset over the Bucs might be like the deciding factor on if they can make the playoff as a 6 or 7 seed or not. So I think you're going to see like Sean Payton just go like, here's all the tricks in the book because we need them now. The playoffs have started for this team.
Yeah, I completely agree. And that's exactly how I see it too. It's like, oh yeah, the Dolphins are in it too, but it's like more like they're is gum and toothpicks that they've built that offense with. Yeah, but it's one of those with strength against weakness, strength against weakness. I pick the Saints' strength more than the Dolphins' defense against the Saints' offense, but exactly for that reason. I'm going with another. This one is, I think, the Thursday night game's getting a little overblown a little bit about the fixes they've made, but I also just think the team they're going against is not going to be able to take advantage of that. I'm going with the Chiefs -9.5 hosting the Steelers. Really, this is for me is have we watched Big Ben? And I'm just going to always say that when we're talking about the Steelers, the Chiefs defense has improved, even if that last Thursday game was just insane. But I just don't think the Steelers offense can take advantage, even if you don't think they have improved that much. I think this Chiefs offense is still – they have the first 15 plays for Andy Reid stuff, and it looks amazing. And then after that, they kind of usually hit a wall, but they still have Patrick Mahomes, they still have Tyreek Hill, and they still have Travis Kelce. And they're tweaking it a little bit where they're using the tight ends more, where I like it just that little bit more what they're doing on offense, even if it's kind of been overblown that they have solved too high, which is really just, hey, Patrick, go be good. that's them solving too high defenses. So I'm going with the Chiefs minus 9.5. I actually think this line will go up even more throughout the week. And yeah, hopefully they stay healthy throughout the week and just stays right here.
I'm going to take San Francisco minus 3.5 on the road at Tennessee. This Titans team, you just talked about how the Steelers aren't any good. They lost to the Steelers.
Yes.
This Tennessee team is just feels like it's in a free fall right now. San Francisco's won 5 of the last 6, 4 by over 8 points, which, very clearly would be covering this game. They're clicking now. Tennessee's lost 3 of the last 4, and they've only cracked 13 points once since November 14th. That's, 5 weeks, and you've been able to put up 13 once. That's not good, man. They're just banged up on the offensive side of the ball. They don't have the horses. They never were a defensive team. They were a team that, defensively was kind of outperforming their expectation. And since the offense has fallen and, Julio's not out there, A.J. Brown's not out there, Derrick Henry's not out there, Ryan Tannehill now looks like the Ryan Tannehill when, he didn't have those guys in Miami. Yep. And that defense is now kind of returned to earth too. So San Francisco is hitting on all cylinders. I think they're can pretty much punch in a playoff spot at this point. Tennessee is still going to make the playoffs, surprisingly, just because they have 9 wins and they're in the AFC. So
that's insane.
They might be the upset team, wild card weekend where they're the 4 seed hosting the 5 seed. And I don't even think it matters who the 5 seed is. If they don't have those guys healthy on offense, they're going to get upset.
Yeah. The 49ers' biggest weakness on their team is Ambry Thomas, number 20, their corner, the rookie corner.
Yeah.
But who's going to take advantage of that on the Titans? It's not the Bengals with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. It's not, even last week with Matt Ryan thrown over there. It's no, that's a completely different offensive animal. I almost had that exact same game. I ended up taking it off, but that if I had to pick a 5th game, that would have been my 5th game as well.
As long as Chester Rogers doesn't go for 200 yards, we should be fine here.
We should be okay. Deontay Foreman, and
and even then he's banged up too now. So
yep. Yeah, exactly. I see it the same way. I'm going to go right here, and another big favorite, road favorite this time. I'm going to go with the Chargers minus 9.5 at how bad this Texans team is because they have played some garbage opponents recently. They played the Jets and the Jaguars, and as much as I wanted to take the Urban Meyer is gone narrative, that really blew up in my face on my own private betting. But I do think that this Chargers team can actually take advantage of what the Texans are. I just think, Davis Mills looks more competent than I assumed, but he was also going against the Jets and the Jaguars. So we got to take that into account. I think this Chargers defense hasn't improved mightily since their bye week. They still have some weakness defending the run, but it's not as bad because they've kind of tweaked of what they've done. And I just think this Chargers offense with former Oregon Duck Justin Herbert is just, he's incredible. He really is. And I think this offense kind of found their formula. And if they're going to go against Lovie Smith's defense, which is going to be static, running the same thing every play, they're not going to confuse Justin Herbert. Not that he gets confused much anyway, so I think they can take it to him. I think this is going to be a statement win for the Chargers where we go, oh, man, they look like a real playoff team as opposed to one that we're waiting on next year.
My pick, last pick before pick of the week, Los Angeles Rams minus 3 at Minnesota. Stafford looks healthy, man. And once Stafford looks healthy, they're a totally different team. I know a lot of people wanted to make a lot about the whole McVay thing and, after Thanksgiving, his offense ends up fluttering. I think there's a lot of different reasons for that. This Rams offense is different than any other McVay Rams offense. They're not running the outside zone duo boot stuff that they did under Goff. It kind of felt like training wheels. Stafford's out there. It's full-blown progression passing. They're out there sometimes in 10 personnel with 4 wide receivers. It's a different team. I don't think that narrative makes sense at all. I think why the Rams were kind of flailing for a little bit was the fact that Stafford just simply did not look healthy, and now he looks healthy again.
Like 7 injuries at one point.
Yeah, like, just that news dump on Sunday morning where it's like, hey, here's all the things that he's doing.
Yeah,
he's dealing with everything other than COVID. But yeah, but the Vikings are firing cornerbacks that were starting for him, in season. I don't know if you guys watched that game last night. There were plenty of opportunities, I thought, for Chicago to kind of win that ball game, and they weren't talented enough. But the Rams are a way more talented team than Chicago is. Kirk had that arm punt that, one of maybe the worst interceptions I've ever seen in my life. And I know the wide receiver was being held. The safeties still could have, fair caught that ball. So, at very best, Kirk threw that ball too early and into what would have been double coverage. And that was right after a sack fumble that ended up, he ended up recovering, and I think there was, a penalty on it. So, 2 turnover-worthy plays, back to back, and they were some of the worst I've ever seen. He's infuriating to watch. I just think, if this comes down to the quarterbacks, Stafford just head and shoulders above Kirk.
Yeah, I see it the same way. But this Rams team, I think we forget how good they are, especially they're clicking as opposed to the Vikings who are throwing 75 passing yards against the Bears defense that's starting to get banged up with backup DBs.
Yeah, and who knows if even Thielen's going to be in the game? If it's
he has a high ankle sprain. He shouldn't even be playing.
Yeah. If it's just Justin Jefferson, that's a totally different ballgame than when Minnesota's playing Green Bay and their top 3 guys that get 360 total, because it's just you can't stop all 3 of them, but you might have a better chance trying to stop 2 when you can have Jalen Ramsey just locked up on Justin Jefferson the entire game. So
All right, well, let's do our picks of the week. So I'm looking at Bills versus Patriots. Patriots, they already beat the Bills this season, and they need to win this to seal the division. So given that, I feel like they're going to find a way to make it work and pull out the win. The Bills are going to try and force Mac to throw and, make some rookie error mistakes. But I have no doubt that Bill, Mac, and the Patriots will figure that one out. So I'm taking Patriots -2.5 this week.
I stayed away from that game because I just wanted to enjoy it as a fan. But that one's gonna be fun. I now that's not a snowstorm, windstorm, whatever you want to call it, rain, sleet, and hail. That only the
Mac will throw more than 3 passes in the game.
I think he will. It was jarring seeing that game, and then all of a sudden this past week there in the Dome, and it was just oh yeah, that's right. You can play the football in all these situations. It's totally different flavor. My pick of the week, and I actually was kind of torn on between what I was going to tab as my pick of the week, but I'm just going to keep betting this team. They're still covering, which is funny. I'm taking the Cowboys -10.5 hosting Washington. I don't even know what's going to happen with Washington tonight, Tuesday night, but I think this Cowboys team, their defense is ridiculous at this point in time. No matter how you shake it, advanced stats, box score stats, eye test, if you just watch the heat they bring up front, I don't think this Washington front can hold up for them for 4 quarters. And that's just talking about the defense. The offense, I actually am not as down on the offense as I thought I would be when I've rewatched these games on film. I just think they just cannot help themselves, but just right at the worst time, drop a ball. Right at the worst time, have a bad snap. Right at the worst time, someone doesn't go right at the snap, is late coming off the ball, a left tackle or something like that. And it's I know this is Mike McCarthy run organization at this point, but I do trust that they'll put it together and go supernova. I am telling you, that's what I feel about this Cowboys team, is that once this offense stops just deciding to play on hard mode and just takes the easy layups and actually does what they're supposed to do, they're going to start blowing these teams out. I'm just going to bet that it's this week. So Cowboys -10.5 against Washington.
I think Dallas, now that Green Bay's lost one, they're both tied for best record against the spread this season. So Dallas quietly. Dallas is usually that team because they're so public that, it's after a loss, you want to bet them on a win. After a win, you want to bet them on a loss. But they've been doing a pretty good job of just covering in general this year. My pick, Indianapolis Colts at the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals are 1.5-point home favorites. This feels like everyone is overcorrected on Arizona. they went into the game last week basically, controlling their own destiny in the NFC in terms of being able to get the 1 seed and being able to have, the entire playoff run go through Arizona. They still have all that team speed. I understand Nuke isn't out there anymore, but when it really comes down to it, Arizona's been a defensive team more than an offensive team. I'm not that worried about what Carson Wentz is able to do. Even in that Pats game, Wentz wasn't doing anything. They won that game, but Wentz wasn't doing anything.
He had 5 completions, I think.
Yeah,
it's
so
ridiculous.
If it comes down to quarterback play, which it probably will come down to if Arizona's able to kind of bottle up Jonathan Taylor and they're fast enough to at least rally to the ball if, he does get loose a little bit. I think the clear advantage is going to be Arizona, in terms of the passing offense. So as long as they're able to set up that tempo quick and, not fall down, a score or two early, if they can get, the Colts out of a running script and they can get Carson Wentz involved in the game, I feel really good about their chances. This seems like it's just overcorrection city. I mean, the Arizona, again, was going into last week controlling their own destiny in the NFC, which is the tougher conference this year. And now everyone is, written off Arizona, and they're not even – they're on a neutral field then, they would be underdogs to the Colts. I feel like we just did the Colts have arrived at the same time that we just sold out the Cardinals. This feels wonky across the board.
It does. It does. I know that line spooked me a little bit. I saw the line. I was like, huh. What am I missing on this one? Because I think that's exactly what it is. I think it's the narratives that are forming about those two teams that maybe it's an over narrative at this point in time.
All right. Well, that's all that we have for this week. This was Beat the Odds NFL edition on Odds Checker. We will catch you guys next week with some more NFL picks.